Before anything else, I feel that it's good if I start explaining about like the main mechanics of like Sudoku. First rule is that the row cannot have any duplicate. Second rule, your column cannot have any duplicate. The third rule is that your 3 by 3 matrix cannot have any duplicate. So with that being said is that what they try to establish over here is tree hash map. And what this tree hash map means is that you have 3 checkers. So say for example, the element that it's located at the coordinate 4, 6 with the value 9 passes through the first checker. Maybe say the first checker is the one that is checking for row. Second one is to check for the column. Third one is to check for the 3 by 3 matrix. So we have this element that goes in, passes through 1, passes through 2, passes through 3, and therefore it's a valid value, and then we can sort of like insert it. So we're talking about 4, 6, right? So this value is valid. So that's the main mechanics that we're using basically. And now we're gonna zoom in into this tree to see how it actually plays out. The thing about tree is a bit tricky because what you're doing is you're checking for this box. So I'm gonna give you another example. So why I say 1 is tricky is because 2 is simple. If you want to check for 2, you are basically checking for this whole entirety of the row, right? And you can just simply input the So why this tool is simple is because that what we're checking, if say it has a row value of 0, element 7 passes through 2. It only this checker for 2, you just need to send to this hash map 2, let's say check for it only need to know what's the row, and it will insert it into the hash tag. But for 1, how do you then do it? You just can't just simply take the coordinate 0 to input it in, because you're tracking for this whole box. And what this whole box means is that the row of the 3 coordinates got to be taken account of, both for the row and for the column. And for 2, it's just a row coordinate. So we're actually comparing so this one need, for 2 you need row coordinate, but for 1 you need row divided by 3, column divided by 3 coordinate. So we're going to zoom in to talk about why is it R3 coordinate. Before that, yeah, so to actually re-emphasize, I think for 2 it's taking the row coordinate only, but for 1 it's taking the row divided by 3, column divided by 3 coordinates. That's why I say the 1 is much more trickier. And for this 2, you can rinse and repeat for the column, checking for column as well. Checking for this one is a rinse and repeat for column. Row and column, they rinse and repeat each one another. So maybe zoom into the 1. So maybe say check for this coordinate. This coordinate it falls under the category of like say it's a 4, 6, right? So then we want to actually group to be able to check 3 by 3 matrix. So what we do is we split all them up into groups. So instead of just each and individual coordinate to have its singular row and column, we now split them in supposed to this A, we are splitting in terms of like B, which is groups of 3 instead. So instead of A, we do it in B. So if we were to do B, then we are able to actually start grouping up like group coordinates, which is 0 representing for this 3 units, 1 representing these 3 units, and 2 representing these 3 units. Sort of rinse and repeat for the column as well. 0 represent for these 3 units, 1 and 2 rinse and repeats. So maybe say we get the 4, 6 coordinate. Let's check if it how it is being grouped under the category of 1 and 2, right? So we use 4 divided by 3. We get a 1 remainder of something, but we don't care about the remainder. We just care about 1. So obviously we transfer it to 1, and then 6 divided by 3, we get 2. So with that, it's a 1, 2, which is the correct one. Let's try another example. Maybe say over here, this one is a 3 divided by 3, which is a 1. 8 divided by 3 gives us a 2. We still fall under over here, which kind of proves that this thing kind of works. So yeah, and you ask maybe say why do we need to do all this, what comes after? So what comes after is that there will be a hash set that actually checks for a duplicate list. So maybe it's easier if we explain in terms of like in 2. In 2, we have the coordinate of the row. The coordinate for a row, maybe say for over here. So we start inserting the values in. So maybe here got 3, 6, 9. You can't have another 9 over here because you're being planted into this hash set. So it will give you a dada, and you can't insert the 9, which then get sort of like cancel out. You can't be inserted in. So very similar for the number 1 category over here, which is that now we have the isolation piece, which is the 3 by 3 matrix. So within this limitation, if there's say to have another 9 over here, it will give you a dead end, and you can't insert the value in because this hash set kind of checks for it. And then you may ask, like, what is the thing that actually groups both the hash set and the coordinates all together? It's called the that's why we bring in the hash map itself. I think similarly for 2, right, what groups these 2 items together, I think it's called the hash map as well. I think all these pieces are just a very important piece, and I just feel like so what I don't actually have talked about was that with regards to the beauty about this whole mechanics that we're actually doing. If you were to actually see like the whole mechanics of like this whole entire system is that we're limiting the number of like elements to be put in. It's sort of like a restriction that we are introducing, that we are passing through the system. So if I were to say that like you pass in the row, that means I only can put in like this if I'm taking into consideration of this item. Like we basically are quite free, right? We are able to insert values like this very freely. But then we go to stage 2, we reinforce another thing. Let's say that now your column also cannot have duplicate, right? So suddenly your this value is being restricted, your this value also is being restricted, your this value also being restricted. Whereas when it was like rule 1 stage, you're kind of like free and easy to actually put in 0967812. There's more values that you can actually insert in. But if say once you actually enter into the stage 3 onwards, it become even worse. Because why? So maybe say within this realm, you have a 1 inside, you have a 2 inside. Suddenly these values also can't be inserted in. And then suddenly you only left with 2 valid values for you to actually put into. And with this demonstration, I think we're just demonstrating how powerful it is to actually pass through a restriction in it. So the more restriction that you are put in, the less items you can actually put inside into the Sudoku boxes. So there you have it. Everything comes to an end.